I'm Olivia McGreevy, and you are listening to WBWC The Sting. And today I am joined by Emily Kinney. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. So, in case our listeners don't know, Emily is a singer, songwriter, actress. She really does it all. And I just wanted to ask you kind of how did you get your start in your career? And like I said, you do singing and acting. Did one come before the other, or did they kind of start at the same time?
I would say as far as like my interest in performing or the arts, music came first. Like that was my in. I would learn songs as a little kid and I signed myself up for like talent shows and learning songs and singing. I always really loved like pop singers and but then as I got a little bit older, that led to, musical theater. And when I first went to college, I was actually a music major, but then I would find myself in the theater department a lot. And then when it came like professionally, acting definitely came first as far as opportunities. When I first moved to New York City, although I was going out to music clubs and maybe singing backup for bands, where I was really felt things moving forward was in my acting career. I was able to go to auditions and get an agent and start getting jobs that could sustain me, support me. So acting really came first as far as like in a career sense, I guess. But music kind of led me to arts in a way when I was young.
Awesome.
So,
And I wanted to talk a little bit about your album that's out right now. It's called The Supporting Character. And I just
yeah.
wanted to know kind of what this album meant to you and kind of what your inspirations were for it.
Yeah. Well, the main theme of the album is, so many of my, I write a lot about relationships or my family or like just different things like that in my songs always. But I guess with this album, I was picking songs that felt like looking through the lens of living my life as an actor. Because it is such a lifestyle, every time you get a job, you move to a new city. Every time you get a new job, you meet a whole new group of people, and those people become so intimately involved with you in this short amount of time. Also, that kind of lifestyle where you miss weddings, you miss birthdays of your friends because you just happened to get this gig last minute, it really has affected the way that I live my life. And so the theme of the album of it being like, the supporting character, it kind of has two ideas of like, okay, this is who I am, Emily. I'm a supporting and looking at my relationships, looking at little stories through the lens of the fact that I am an actor, and that changes things, and then and shifts things. And then the other being, I've definitely rediscovered or like strengthened my connection to a higher power. Like I have a really strong belief in spiritual guidance and God. And so I think that theme kind of comes out throughout the album as well. And the idea being that I'm the supporting character to something else's lead, like to something bigger than myself.
That's beautiful. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
And I can kind of relate, obviously, like I didn't get into acting the way that you did, but I did a lot of theater in high school. And I saw how that just, you become so close with those people that you're around constantly. They become your new family. And
Yeah.
times where even I missed families' birthdays and different things because I was off practicing for something, even on a smaller scale, it really just changes the whole dynamic of your life when you're a part of something like that. And I definitely can relate to that, even though it's on a smaller level. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just really consumes you in a great way, in this beautiful way, but also, you come out of it and you're sort of like, oh, wow, hi, mom and dad, haven't, what's going on? Like, or best friend that I used to hang out with all the time. I know I've been out of town for however many months. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, and you come back, you play a life on stage, and then you come back and you have to like live your real life and reacquaint yourself with your character of yourself, essentially.
Yeah, you have to kind of get back into the rhythm of like being home again or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get that completely. Back to the album just for a second. Did you have like a specific writing process that you usually follow, or does stuff just kind of come to you randomly?
Yeah, I mean there is a rhythm for me for sure. Like with most of these songs I would have an idea sort of popping around, like moving around in my head, and then I'd finally sit down and write it. And I did write most of these just by myself. One of the songs, Skinny, I had written most of it and then went to my really good friend Ben And he kind of helped me finish it, finish the bridge and kind of the structure of it. And but mostly they were written pretty solitary, but I do usually have, like, whether it's an event like Omaha Hotel, I had just gotten back from a funeral and I had just had like all these, I knew I wanted to write something about my experience being home. And then the supporting character, I had just gotten back from a little trip with my weekend with my dad, and I knew I wanted to capture that moment. So they kind of come to me in different ways, but I usually, either there's a phrase or a moment that I'm sort of in my head holding on to and going like, okay, at some point I'm gonna sit down and flesh this idea out,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. If you could pick one song off the album to kind of like represent who you are right now as an artist, what would that song be?
Oh my gosh, that's one of them to represent who I am. I'm gonna pick, okay, I want to pick two.
Okay, yes, go ahead. Go for it.
Well, okay, I want to say the actual title track, the supporting character. I mean, I feel very much like, because I feel like the name of that song too is also like, when you call something the supporting character, you're sort of automatically putting yourself in also as like the lead, like I am the supporting character, or something. And then you're also, but like just the idea that of feeling led right now, like I feel very much like I'm at a time, like I think a lot of people can relate to where I tried to be like, okay, I'm going to make a bunch of lists, I'm going to reach all my goals. But there is something so much when you have a creative career where like so much of it is out of your hands. And I feel like for whatever reason, maybe the last year or, just we don't have as much control as we think. Yeah. And I feel like as an artist now, I'm less adhered to like timelines, like, oh, if I want to do music, I better do it by this age, or, you know what I mean? I feel a little like, you know what? If I think of a song today, I'll write the song. If tomorrow, I have an audition, I'll go to the audition. Like I'm just kind of going to the thing that takes me, or like being led, I guess. Yeah. All right. I'm open to, so as an artist, I feel like I'm a little more like just kind of following wherever the light is, Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
At the station, we have When the Midnight Fireworks Start in rotation.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I love that song. I know you did a music video for that and everything, but I was just wondering if you want to tell our listeners just maybe a little bit about the inspiration behind that song.
Yeah, you know what? It kind of goes along with what I was just saying of like, I feel like I wrote that song when I first moved to LA, from New York City to LA, and I was really doing a lot of music at the time, and I would do like these writing sessions with people that were just doing so many cool things, or they would have like these really unique, beautiful voices, and sometimes it would feel overwhelming, like, wow, everyone is so, I mean, when you're in places like, well, anywhere, you can, like, so beautiful and talented, and it can feel a little overwhelming, like, is what I'm doing special? You can kind of start to compare and things. But that song is really tapping into, when it comes down to it, I do feel like there is something special and unique about like my point of view and the way that I write songs and the way, the way that my voice sounds when I sing them, and the way that I play characters, or like there is something special and unique, and I do feel very driven that I'm meant to do it, and I, it'll be on a different, it's all happening on a different timeline than my friend who maybe is like an amazing singer, or my other friend who's an amazing, getting a cool, acting job or this or that, and like I think that song is just like, we're all such on unique paths, and like kind of staying true to that.
Definitely. And like you said, like I feel like for me, once I stopped comparing myself to my friends and what they were on, that's when I really started living the life I want to be living. And I've got all these opportunities and everything. So I think it's just great that, you realize that and you can kind of start doing what you want to do for yourself. So I think that's great.
Yeah. And you can like just enjoy it, your stuff more when it's like your own. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yes. Obviously, like I said, you have the background in acting and you just did the music video for that song. Do you feel that having a background in acting kind of helps you with your music and your music videos and everything?
Definitely. I mean, I think just little things about like, having been on a set, I know a little bit more when I do music, even though my music videos are definitely a little more I, I don't they're not quite the same as like being on the set for like a TV show. I literally made that video in my backyard, but there are certain things I'll be like, "Oh, this will make it look like a little bit more a little better," or like, just having access to friends that make TV or make, it is helpful as well. So, yeah, definitely.
So, if our listeners don't know, you played Beth Green on The Walking Dead,
Mm.
which is my favorite show of all time. My mom and I watch it every single Sunday. Other teenagers, they probably had like Justin Bieber and One Direction on their walls. I had Rick Grimes and Daryl Dixon posters everywhere. My friends would come and be like, "Who is that?" And I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
"It's Rick Grimes. What do you mean? Who is that?" I'm just a huge fan. I've been following you since then. I used to sing on the show and everything. So once I
Yeah.
saw you doing music, I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I'm really happy that you're continuing to do that. Um, but I just wanted to know, like, if you have any favorite memories from filming the show or a favorite episode or
Mhm.
anything.
There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's hard to pick one. Let me just see what comes to mind. Um, Man, I always in season 2, I believe, or wait, no, it would have been the first episode of season 3. Um, the last like there was a Friday we shot, so we had 1 week of like just really intense shooting, being outside in the heat all day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we filmed that like campfire scene. I don't know, right before we go to the prison. I guess you'd have to watch the show to people who are listening. Anyway, first episode of season 3, we were just finishing up shooting that episode, and we saved that campfire scene for the last day of shooting. And I got to sing with Lauren and like be with Scott, and I just feel like that was such a like I just remember feeling really like at ease and at home, and like we really are like this little family. And it felt, there's a lot of moments like that with Walking Dead where you sort of went, wait a minute, this is special. There's some sort of electricity here that isn't in every acting job, obviously, and it shows because it's connected with so many people all over the world. But that was one of those moments. I mean, there's so many, but I'll just pick that one.
You can tell, see, like just watching the show, like you can tell that everybody is so tight. And I love seeing, interactions between people on social media and everything. And
Mm.
always watching like the Talking Dead and when they come on and do interviews and stuff, you can just tell that everybody seems to be like one big happy family. Do you keep
Yeah.
in touch with any of your former co-stars?
Yeah, we really do. We actually, I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
We actually do have like a group text with some of us. Like it's yeah, I mean, it's kind of like an extended family where like you can sort of just reach out.
Awesome.
It's not like we're talking necessarily every day, but the way that you can reach out to like your aunt and whatever, even if you haven't talked to them in months, and it sort of feels like that, where it's like you kind of keep tabs on each other. And when someone's doing something great, like when Steven was nominated for the um his Oscar. Holy shit. Like we all had like this group thread going where it was like, yeah, we're gonna watch it, congrats, Steven. So like we're kind of always like keeping tabs and like rooting for each other in this really beautiful way that is just like a family.
Oh, well, that's really good to hear. I'm really happy to hear
Yeah.
that as a fan. I'm
Yeah.
sure people will be too. Do you find that a lot of the Walking Dead fans kind of followed you through your music career? Do you have a lot of people that kind of come to you and be like, oh, I've been following for a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's all different. It's funny. There are some people that will, there's obviously a lot of Walking Dead fans because that TV show was so massive and Beth sang. So I do feel like it was an easy in to like sort of, oh, well, Beth sings and Emily sings. So let me check out Emily's music. So a lot of my music fans are Walking Dead fans, but then I also get a lot of comments, on social media or notes that'll be like, oh, I love your music. I didn't know you also are an actor. So almost the other side of it, like, and a lot of my first music fans in New York City weren't necessarily like Walking Dead fans. You know what I mean? So when I first started, they were actually a lot like Spring Awakening had that was a Broadway show in New York, and it had a similar the way that those fans sort of rally around the Spring Awakening cast in New York. It had that same sort of the way the Walking Dead fans are such like loyal, will rally around whatever you're working on. There was a similar vibe. So I sort of had like kind of those fans as well that were locked into my music a little from the early days, you know, of like just playing shows around New York.
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch the show anymore, but I know that they're getting ready to like get into the final season. Do you have any predictions on how you think the show is going to end?
Oh my God, I have no idea. Like, is it all a dream? Is it all, I don't know. No, I don't think it's all a dream, but I have no idea, but I'm so curious because I don't know. Yeah, or maybe they leave it open-ended in some way. I mean, I feel like that's a possibility, just to leave it open-ended for like, all the other spin-offs and such.
Yeah, it's
But yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
I
I'm as curious as you.
tell you my theory really quick.
Sure.
So I know everybody in the beginning always speculated that it was going to be Rick like actually waking up from his coma and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is going to end with him waking up from a coma, but not the one that we saw in the beginning.
Okay.
I think him waking up from the, like with the explosion and he went away in the helicopter and everything.
Okay. Yeah.
Wake up from that one, and I think they're going to leave it open-ended from there. That's my prediction.
I think that's a great prediction. That sounds, yeah, good.
Maybe I'm probably, it's not funny.
Who knows?
As I mentioned earlier, you were recently in a movie called The Enormity of Life, which I recently watched, which was beautiful, beautiful movie. The ending really got me with that one.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
So what was it like filming that for you?
It was such a good experience. Eric, the director and the writer, I really love the way that he writes scenes. So for me, it was just really fun to get to do like some great kind of character. Like I love just two people talking and talking about their lives. So all the scenes I got to do with, Brecken and Giselle were just really fun scenes. I felt like I wasn't sure how it would all, come together. So it's always good to see the finished product. But yeah, it was fun to just work on like good scenes, I guess, if that makes sense. And it was also fun to be in a different location. Like I always feel like it kind of helps me focus when I'm out, like we said, like kind of away from my life, and got to be in Cleveland and sort of feel a different vibe. And so yeah, it was a really fun time.
Cool. And yeah, like you just said, in case our listeners don't know, that was actually shot in the Northeast Ohio area in Cleveland, which is where we're located. So I definitely think everybody should check that out and see if you can spot any, familiar places or anything. What I was doing, I was watching it, not just for, the plot and everything. I was like, I wonder if I can recognize any places. Did you have any like favorite locations while you were filming here?
We filmed in this kind of like cool, weird diner. That was in like the opening scene. That was cool. But as far as like spots, I mean, while I was here, I found a really great coffee shop called Pour. Although I think it might be closed now with the pandemic, but it was downtown. So like I always like to like find a spot, that I can like get my coffee or. So yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
You also have a podcast. It's called My Cast Draw. Do you want to tell our listeners a little bit what they can hear on that and like the content that you have?
Yeah, we're just finishing up season 2, but obviously it's totally one of the kind of things you can go back to season 1, season 2. I interview artists that I love, so because I'm such a music fan. Like I love to go to shows. I go to shows before pre-pandemic, I used to go to shows all the time, and also we talk about coffee. So it's the idea of the podcast was like, what gets me out of bed when I'm having sort of the low, I don't have any creative spark days. And the two things that get me out of bed are finding the right song and coffee. So we start the conversation with a cup of coffee, and I always ask the artist, like, okay, tell me about how you make your coffee in the morning, or if you get it from a shop. And season 1 is cool because they came to my house and would actually like make me a cup of coffee or tea or whatever it is they have in the morning. And then season 2, obviously we did over Zoom with the pandemic, but that was quite fun too because I really got to see like how other people were other artists like me, how they were dealing with the pandemic. Like, were they writing every day? Are they just trying to like get through the day? Are they, like what kind of routines are helping them? So I found it just like really inspiring and helpful.
Cool. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
also know, like for our listeners, I saw you recently did one with somebody from Manchester Orchestra who we play on the station. So if you want to learn more about them or him,
Yeah.
check it
He has
out.
so many artists on his, like JP Sachs, Fantagram, Cold War Kids. It's really great artists. So even if it's like just look through and find what band you're a fan of and then listen to that one. Yeah.
Definitely go check that out. Um, my last question is kind of just where can our listeners find out more about you and any of your upcoming projects? And I was also wondering, I know you just did like a small live performance somewhere. And I was
Mm.
just wondering if there's anything that you have planned for that maybe we can all keep our eyes out for.
Well, I did just do a thing there's this YouTube channel, Jam in the Van, and I did record something for them yesterday, so that'll be up soon. That's kind of like a live performance. And then I'm on the social media platform I use the most probably is Instagram. So if you follow me there, I'm pretty active, and that's a great place to always like know what's if I'm gonna have a new video or perform anywhere. That's a great place to follow me, or Facebook or Twitter. It's all at Emmy Kinney, so EMMYKINNEY. And then you can get my music on Spotify, Apple Music. My website is emilykinneymusic.com, and I have my own coffee for sale. I have, the vinyl is we have like blue vinyl on there, so if you want to buy music or sweatshirt.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will be
Yeah.
on the lookout for any upcoming projects and anything else that you might be doing. Thank you so much for talking with us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.